but maybe God can use me too. Any Me Too people in here? I was a Me Too person. I realized one day that no matter what I had done, God could fix it and forgive me for it and clean me up and use me. All I had to do was be willing to be used. I thank God for that. Listen, y'all get out of your personal feelings. Your personal feelings don't lead you somewhere you don't need to be. Our scripture is coming this morning from 1 Corinthians, the 2nd chapter. And I want to read about 8 or 9 verses, so y'all ain't got to stand up. Y'all sit down, because I'm going to be reading for a while. I want to talk from a subject that's called what God himself prepared for little old me. You ever thought about the fact that as insignificant as you are to some people, you are important to God? Isn't that amazing? Just little old you. Is there anybody here, and it probably isn't, is there anybody in here that can say somebody knows every secret I got? Because I don't care how much you love somebody, there's certain things you just ain't gonna tell them. No, I can't tell her that. She might not have that whole level to herself. I'm gonna tell you that. Anybody got them secrets to take it to your grave? I ain't telling nobody about that. I'm taking that one to my grave. But how many people know that even though you didn't tell nobody, God knew, he knows that secret. He knows when you did it. And how about he knew you were going to do it before you even decided that you were going to do it. And he had already made it in his mind, no matter what it is that you were going to do and how you did it, he still loved you. See, I don't know if you all realize it, but that's the love that all of us are searching for when we find spouses, and we find people that we can live our lives with, we find friends, we looking for people that will say, I know the wall curtains and I'm still all right with it. Yeah, I know the wrong one. I know sea wash. See, there's some people that know sea wash. See, y'all up here think y'all know sea wash. You just know the sea wash I told you about. You don't really know the wrong sea wash. And you don't really want to know him. One of the things I love about Crystal is she's a gangster like myself, and she'll tell you where she came from. She'll say, well, this is what I used to do. How many people know that it's valuable sometimes to say to people, this is where God brought me from, because there's somebody out there. Now, there are people out there that's going to use your stuff to do what they want to do, but there's somebody out there that's saying, I've done something so bad that there's no way God could love me. But then when you see somebody that's standing in this pulpit and they begin to tell you where God brought them from, all of a sudden you find yourself saying, well, if God can use them, I'm pretty sure. But the Bible tells us in Hebrews that we're surrounded with so great a cloud of witnesses. There are people that have been where you are, have done something, that saw the same thing that you have done, and God has delivered them, and they're running on to see what the end is going to be. And all you need to know is that they actually exist. They actually exist. Let me get to my scripture. I was going to read a lot of it. It said, and brethren, when I came to you, I came not with the excellency of speech or wisdom, declaring unto you the testimony of God. For I determined not to know anything among you save Jesus Christ and him crucified. And I was with you in weakness and in fear and in much trembling, and my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom, but in demonstration of spirit and power, that your faith should not stand in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God. I got to stop right there. Many of us are sitting up in here because our faith lies in the wisdom of what some man or some woman has told us. But our faith has to begin to lie within the power of who God actually is. Howbeit we speak wisdom among them that are perfect, yet not the wisdom of this world, nor the princes of this world that come to know. But we speak the wisdom of God in a mystery, even in the hidden wisdom which God ordained before the world unto our glory, which none of the princes of this world knew. For had they known it, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. But as it is written, I have not seen nor ear heard, neither have it entered into the heart of man the things which God has prepared for them that love him. We're living in a time when If you look around, people are easily amazed with the intellectual prowess of those that have studied the finest schools and have learned all of the big words that need to be used when they're standing before the people of God. They wow us with their huge vocabularies, and in many cases, they leave us more confused when they get this preaching than we were when we actually arrived. I remember one time I went to hear a brother of mine preaching. He used so many big words. I told him, I said, he said, why was you looking like that? I was confused at what you was trying to get us to understand. How many people know the gospel is simple? I don't need to show you that I was a straight A student in English. I mean, many of us have degrees and many of us have these large vocabularies, but if I stand in this pulpit and preach to you and you walk away without understanding what I preach, I have failed in my mission. I have failed in my mission. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for the educating of people. You got to be knowledgeable. Don't talk to me if you don't know what you're talking about. Don't do that. You're going to get your feelings hurt. You want me talking some crazy stuff, you're going to get your feelings hurt. I promise you that either you're going to want to whip me or you're going to have to whip me, because I'm not going to stand there and let you talk. You know how many people that walked up on me and trying to quote the scripture, they quoted it out of context, and when I left, they wanted to shoot me in the back as I was walking away? Because you just say no anything to me, and that's the problem. That's why the Bible says, study to show thyself approved. A workman that need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. How many people don't stop letting people tell you anything? Somebody tell you, give me a scripture. And when they give you that scripture, go back and study that thing. Go back and see if what they told you. Now your problem is that you don't know how to study. Find somebody that do. Find you somebody that knows how to rightly divide what's going on. So when you're sitting down, you can come with a correct. Because guess what? If somebody take a scripture, they don't put it in context. It's wrong. Let me give you one that people take all the time. They'll say, money is the root of all evil. That ain't even scripture. The scripture says the love of money is the root of all evil. So you run out of time, I don't want to get too much money. What? You lost your mind? The Bible says the love of money. I remember I grew up people saying you can't play marbles. You better not be playing no marbles. And the Bible didn't say nothing about no marble. You don't mind marble nowhere in the Bible. It says marvel not. Don't be amazed. And some of the things that people are telling you, because that's how the enemy gets us. He amazes us. Oh my God, oh, he's powerful. He ain't powerful, he's just talking loud. Only the word of God is powerful. Can I prove it? I can prove it to you. God ain't always shouting. Let me prove it to you. Listen, there are times when anybody remember when Elisha had ran and hid himself? And he was looking for a word from God, and said, this big wind storm came in and said, but God was not in it. Something else came there with you and said, but God was not in it. He said he was in a still small voice. Sometimes God ain't hollering and shouting. Sometimes he's just in a still small voice. There seems to be a breakdown in our system when the people of God are so busy attempting to figure out the definition of the words you use rather than the message that has to be grasped. I personally believe that the gospel is to be presented in a way that is understood by the smallest person in the room. That's why I love this set of scriptures. Because Paul said, when I showed up, I didn't show up with no educational, my educational prowess was on the back burner. Paul said, I didn't come throwing around my educational repertoire. How many people have been in college? Your college don't mean nothing to you. I had some college teachers that were excellent performers. I had a piano teacher that could play anything you put in front of him, but he couldn't teach you to play to save his life. You see, he said, well, Pastor, why do you ask us that? Because guess what? It doesn't matter. I sit in the pulpit with 2 doctors. My brother has a doctorate degree, and so does Dr. Frisco. I sit amongst people with that are very educated people, but they have the ability to take the word of God and break it down so that a small child can understand it. And that's what Paul was saying. I didn't come. Let me give y'all Paul's resume. Paul said, I'm the Hebrew of the Hebrews. He said, my mom and daddy was a Hebrew. He said, I was raised in no dysfunctional home. He said, I studied under the best teachers. He said, I had all of the best knowledge. I had all of the best everything going on. Paul was a unique brother because he was a Hebrew and a Roman citizen. Paul said, so if anybody can talk about their credentials, he said, nobody gets better than me. But he said, I count all that as done for the excellency of Christ. Paul had credentials that he could just throw around. You ever see people when they get a degree, they act like they don't know you no more? Yeah, see, sometimes you go into rooms, you don't always have to. Anybody here drive a Cadillac and people don't know, other than the Cadillac y'all drive that belongs to me? Anybody here drive a Cadillac? Anybody here got a nice job and you go into a situation and people don't really realize who you are and they think they better than you? I do that all the time in my job. I walk into situations and people look at me and they don't really realize who I am until they figure out who I am, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I'm sorry, you're Curtis. Lady said that to me a couple of weeks ago. She said, oh, I'm sorry, you Curtis. I thought I was Curtis when I walked in the door. She said, you should have said something. I said, you should have known. Dre, I'm the only black brother that's there. I don't talk like everybody else talks. I don't. She said, that's why you sound so funny on the radio. I said, no, that's why I sound like me on the radio. I am. How many people can say I am who I am wherever I go? I'm me. I found out a long time ago I'm the best Curtis I know. I can't be nobody else. I have to be what God created Curtis to be. And along the way, when I find flaws and things that need to be fixed, it's up to me to say I need to fix that. Not because I want somebody to like me, but because I want to be a better version of who I am. How many people here striving to be a better version of yourself? If you're the same person today that you were back in high school, you got a problem. And all you do is cause problems. I don't want nobody to get mad. Go on. He stated to them, I didn't use excellency of speech. He stated that he was determined to know nothing but Jesus and him crucified. Now, I need to say something to you all real quick. You're going to run up on people that want to argue with you about something. I remember, anybody from the east side? Over in the Harvard area. When I first came up here, they used to play basketball in Kennedy all the time. So back then, when I had good knees, I could play basketball. So I would go up there and then, cause me being from the country, run these city boys crazy. Cause in the country, we went everywhere we went. So we always in shape. So when we were playing ball, so one day, it was this lady. And she was sitting there. She was the lady that, run the gym. I guess she worked for the gym. And this Muslim was giving her the blues. Me being nosy, I wanted some of the smoke. So I eased over to where the conversation was, hoping that this ignorant brother would say anything to me. Because the lady said, well, I don't know. And he would say, well, you call yourself a Christian and you don't know this, and I don't know. And you call yourself a Christian and you don't know that, so I ease on over to the table, Reverend Frisco. Got nothing to do with what's going on, just like this here. That brother would say nothing to me to save my life. But you know what changed me, made me move? That lady said, wait a minute. I might not know who wrote what, and I might not know how to explain everything in there, but what I do know, Jesus died for my sins. And that's good enough for me. When she said that, I jogged back on the court and started playing ball again. Because there comes a time, guys, you got to know what you believe. We're walking around here, all our young people are leaving the church because we're telling all our young people that this was devised by the white man so that the white man can keep us under control. When it ain't working, it's more black people that prison than anybody. So we definitely ain't under control. Y'all better stop letting people tell you stuff and just because they said it and make it true, you better start making up your mind for yourself. My best friend was a Jehovah's Witness. Best friend. Bill was like a brother to me. And Bill would always say, Kurt, if you die before me, I can't come to your funeral. I said, I ain't got no problem with that, bro. I said, but what I ain't going to do is change what I believe. I'm going to let you believe what you believe. I'm going to keep believing what I believe, and we're going to die this way. We'll find out when it's time to separate everything. How many people know I'm going to die this way? How many people convicted like that? I mean, because guess what? The people have compelling arguments. And I tell people in a minute, I don't know if it's true. I don't know if there is a God. I don't know if there's a heaven, but what I do know is what I believe. And I stand on what I believe. That's it. I ain't gonna take no chance that there's not a God being died and that there is a God in hell. I ain't trying to go to hell. Because I figure if I die and there is a God, I got it going on. But if I die and there ain't no God, I still got it going on. I ain't trying to play no games with it. I ain't playing Russian roulette with my eternity. I ain't trying to live in hell and then die and go to hell. Y'all lost y'all minds. Y'all better figure something out and be convinced and stop wavering. I can't stand people that waver. Every compelling, you're a Buddhist today, tomorrow you're Jehovah's Witness, and the next thing you know you're Methodist, and you're Baptist, and then the next thing you know you're over here, you're Sanhedrin, and now you're Jewish. You don't know what you want to be. Pick a side and stand there. But you know what? A lot of people don't know how to pick a side because you let a lot of people change who you really are. Woo. How many of you all, every time you go into a different environment, you put on a different mask so that the people in that environment will like you? Well, if I go over here, I can't be no Christian over here because everybody over here getting high. So let me put my pants down, sag. What up, man? What's up? What's up? Then you leave that environment. Then you go to work, and you walk into work. How's everyone doing? Is everyone okay with that? Praise the Lord. Then you go to church and you jump and shout, get somewhere and sit down. Be who you are. Let me finish this so y'all can go barbecue or something. How many of us sitting in this room are more concerned with our own agenda and not that of God? Let me tell y'all something. God's agenda doesn't sit well with the flesh. The flesh is enmity with God. See, this is how you know when God is trying to get you to do something. People, that's right, your body begins to act up, you're right. People, don't worry about people not liking you. You ain't gonna like you. What? I gotta do what? Man, this ain't making no sense to me. I don't know why I gotta do all that. I can just do this. And God is saying, no, this is what I require. What? What? No. And it's amazing to me that people get mad at you for trying to live holy when you already bad with yourself. Did that make sense, though, Christo? See, let me tell y'all something. When you first start trying to walk for God, you're going to lose a lot of people. A lot of people going to leave away from you. A lot of people going to walk away from you because what God is going to require you, you ain't going to even like it. So they definitely. Oh, she thinks she's somebody. I don't even want to be there. He tell me all the time, oh, you like preaching. You don't know me that way, baby. I only do what I do because I promised God I would do it. And I'm a man of my word. I said, God, for God I live and for God I die. So I do this. Half the time, God, if anybody that's been in the kind of heard me say a million times, I want to quit. I stand in this pulpit in the minute and say, listen, if I ain't the one y'all want, I'll just get out the way. Then everybody lied and said, no, Pastor, we want you. They hoodwinked me one more time, and then I keep coming back. But see, people think, I do this because I want to do this. No, I do this because there's a charge that has been given and placed on my life. I'm not going to help y'all make me mad. Let me finish this. He stated that he was with them in weakness, and he was just as fearful as they were, to the point that they all were spirit and trembling. Do you all know that we get scared too? Do you all know that we make bad decisions too? Just because you give your life to Christ don't mean that stuff stops. Because the Bible says there's no good thing that dwells within its flesh. Most people don't understand that those of us that are in the position that we carry are just as weak and just as fearful. But for the grace of God, we couldn't even move. I need to say this right here, and I don't even know why. Beware of vipers. Anybody who knows anything about a viper? A viper is a unique snake. Or should I say reptile? Should I say reptile? I refer to the doctors. Should I say reptile, Dr. Washington? Say reptile, Dr. Washington, Dr. Briscoe. Reptile. A viper is a unique reptile. And it was amazing that Jesus called the religious people a generation of vipers. You know what that meant? I almost called you Chris, Rob. You know what that meant, Rob? That meant that there was more than one out there. It's a whole generation of them. And the reason is a viper has the ability to bite you and only release the amount of venom needed for the moment. Oftentimes, the viper does not want to kill what it bites. It wants to paralyze it and keep moving. Did that make sense? There are people sitting in this room that vipers have come along and bitten you when you were young enough to be bitten and couldn't defend yourself. They left you paralyzed emotionally, and they go on about it. They never meant to kill you. They just needed to immobilize you. So now you're stuck in the same place you were when you were a kid. Can I prove it? All somebody got to do, boo, is bring up something somebody did you as a kid, your heart starts to hurt. All somebody got to do is look like it. All somebody got to do is not speak to you. You know why? You know why so many people get mad when somebody don't speak to them? Because they were misused when they were kids. She didn't even speak to me. Because people as a kid would do that to you. And it left a paralyzing point in your life. The next time somebody tell you, you can't do nothing, ask yourself, is that when the viper bit me? Is that why I can't move past it? Because when the viper bites you, he's not trying to kill you. There are people that have said things to you, they don't really want to kill you, they just want to mess up your world. Some of you all are stuck in a rut. Anybody from down south, you ever been in a rut? Down south. See, down south, before they got four-wheel drive, only the tire on the left side would be pulling in the back. You may trying to get that thing in a mud hole, Andre, you'll be pushing for days. That other three wheels ain't doing nothing. See, the problem is y'all got too many useless wheels around you that ain't pulling. Get you some four-wheel drive friends. So when you start pulling, they pulling too in the direction that you were trying to go in. Because the problem is you trying to go somewhere, you stuck, and the people that you got around you can't even help you get out. They can't even help you get out of the hole that you in. So what purpose do they serve? I gotta tell y'all something, then I'm gonna finish. I'm almost done. I had an Impala. Nice Impala. Love my Impala. But the problem was with my bad knees, it hurt getting in and out of the car. So as sufficient as the car was, it wasn't sufficient for what I had to do. So I had to get an SUV. So when I step out, my legs are already kind of stretched. Does that make sense to anybody? Now, I need to ask you, who here sitting in the wrong vehicle? Ain't nothing wrong with the car you're sitting in. It just don't fit what you need to do. That'll hit you later on tonight. Let me go on. Many people sitting in this room can't handle the truth. Paul makes a very interesting statement. He says, however, this word is used to define an introductory statement that contrasts something that has previously been said. In other words, he said that as he speaks, it is those that are mature that only certain lessons can be taught. Just because you are over 21 don't make you mature. And you can tell how mature you are because as soon as something happens, you revert back to being a kid. We call it being petty. Because it sounds better to say I was being petty than to be saying I was acting like an adolescent at 30 years old. And then like you tell the petty folks really be like this. Yeah, you're acting like a little kid because you're petty. And all of us, come on, let's raise your hand. How many people have petty moments? Raise your hand, come on. I'll raise both of mine. If you don't raise your hand, you're lying. All of us got petty moments. But what happens is when we recognize them, we have to begin to change. Woo! God, I like when you give me some stuff that make people mad. The folks, I mean, who their petty folks like? You're being petty right now. You need to raise your hand. You're being petty when you don't raise your hand. The last thing I need to say is this. Look at the neighbor and say, you have no clue who I really am. You have no clue. I promise you, unless you have seen that person in the fullness of the plan that God has for their lives, you have no clue who you sit next to. Listen at this. The mysteries of God were so misunderstood that the rulers of that age had no idea what they were really doing. The ones that thought they knew everything, the ones that were in charge, the ones that made all the decisions, Paul said that they knew nothing. As smart as they were, because if they had known who Jesus was, they would have never crucified him. Kind of shows you how dumb Satan is. I ain't scared to say he works on me every day anyway. When somebody gonna bother you anyway, you don't get scared. It is what it is. He comes to see me every day anyway. I ain't mad about it. But let me prove something to y'all. When Jesus got here, he said, I came to seek and to save that which was lost. He said, I came to die. If Satan had any sense, he would have never killed Jesus. He would have never bothered him. Because what he did was, when he put Jesus on that cross, he put him exactly where God needed him to be. Some of you all are walking around in situations and circumstances where you feel like you're being hung out on a cross, and the enemy thinks he has you where he wants you, but you're actually where God needs you to be, so that God can get the glory for when he delivers you. Do you not realize that if Jesus had not died on that cross, there would be no salvation for us? Paul said they never knew who he was, they would have never crucified him. If people that know, or even to this day, know who they messing with, they would leave you alone. Can I say something, Cookie? You don't try to rush up here because I'm a gangster. I know you got your help with you today, but I'm still a gangster. Watch what God do in her hurt. Watch. Watch how it manifests. Some of the greatest songs that we've ever gotten in our life, precious Lord, it is well with my soul. It came out of great tragedy. Watch it. When the enemy thought he had her where he wanted her, she was where she needed to be for God to use her. Oh, it's a great sacrifice. It was a great sacrifice, but you still have to understand that if the enemy had any idea who you were in God, he would leave you alone. If the enemy had any idea who I was when I was a kid, he wouldn't have done the things he did to me. But everything the enemy has ever done to me makes me who I am now. Because the Bible says, I have not seen, nor ear heard, nor has it entered into the heart of man what God has prepared for your life. So let people keep talking. I have a new pet peeve. I used to always tell people, I need you to see spiritually what's manifesting physically. That means that whatever's happening in your life, can you see what the spiritual connotation of it is? Don't buy into the fleshly part of it. See the spiritual part of it. Now I have a new pet peeve. You know what it is? Don't you die from the disease that your enemy is living with. Let me break that down. There's some people that gossip all the time, and they're talking about you. Your job is to pray and keep it moving. Your job is not to start talking about them, because now you're getting the same disease that they have. Now you gossiping. It's a Christian self. To sanctify itself. Run along to see what the end is going to be. Side back side. Can I prove it? I got scripture. Go to the Bible and find the story of Hezekiah. The Bible said the prophet came to him and told me, your life is required of you this day, get your house in order. You know what he was finna die from? He was finna die from the same disease that his enemies had. But because the Bible said he turned his face to the wall. See, there comes a time when some things happen to you in your life, you can't talk to nobody, you just got to go to the wall. And I know people gonna think you crazy. And if you get to the wall and people think you crazy, do what Elisha did when he went to the Shunammite woman's house with the baby. He went in the room, and the Bible says he went in the room and he shut the door, because waiting at the door inside the room, nobody was gonna understand. Nobody was gonna like it. He said, I gotta shut the door. And because he shut the door and did not allow the opinions of other people, this child was raised from the dead. The problem is, when it's time to shut the door, you want somebody in the room with you. Sometimes you just gotta go in there, just you and God. Sometimes it can't be your spouse, it can't be your significant other, it can't be your homie that you grew up with. It's just got to be you and God. Because God might want to do something crazy in there. And when God gets to doing something crazy with some of our lives, our friends going to talk us out of it. You know, God told me to open up a business. No, but God ain't said that to you. What? God told me I was going to be great. And then you see your friend saying, you great? Dude, you know where you came from, man. You ain't gonna be great. You be all right. But God said, send them on his way, close the door, come talk to me by yourself. Just talk to me by yourself. Let me tell y'all something. It takes great strength to be where God called us to be. The world has inundated us. We become so consumed with the world's way of seeing things that oftentimes we don't see no other way out. But I submit to you that there is a God that sits on high, and he sees everything that's going on with you. It's like he said with the man with the withered hand. Show it to me. How many people in here want your life to change so desperately that you're willing to show to God and the rest of the people standing around the one defect in your life that you don't want nobody to know that you got? So not that God couldn't fix it in his pocket. He just needed to know. He wanted him to know how bad he wanted that issue fixed. How bad do you want to change? God said, show me. Let me see it. No, it ain't easy. You know what kills me about people? Maybe I remember my life of sin differently. But I had struggles when I was in sin. Am I the only one? So why do people act like the struggles in Christendom is so much worse than the struggle in sin? Struggling is struggling. But the problem was when I was in sin, I had nobody. But over here, I got God. Many of you all have God that's waiting on you to deliver you. The fact that you don't go to him is your fault. It's not God's fault. Thanks be